Start Owen, big fight for you, and a comeback fight because 15th of July, it's VIP versus VIP.
Yep.
Get it on with Rhys Woods.
Yeah, 13 days away now, Lee. I think I was told offered this fight about 8 weeks, a couple of months ago or something like that. It's a good one, isn't it?
It is. Unfortunately, you've had quite a bit of bad luck. Good luck as well because you become a father.
Yeah.
How old's your little kid now?
Well, he's 1.5. He'll be 2 in February. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
6
know
months.
what it's like. But it was the last time you fought was about 7-8 months
October.
ago. October.
Yeah, Jake
Where
Bray
you had a
rematch.
cracking fight with Jake Bray, which was a rematch, first 6-rounder, and I think you must have got quite a lot out of that fight because
I did,
you had to go to war in it, mate.
Do you know what it was with that fight, Lee? You know, the first one, we've spoke about this one many times. I felt I was robbed that night, and like a lot of people, even including yourself. Look, Jake's a top lad, but when a result's a result, we all know what it is. So the rematch, it was like there was a bit of needle in it. Not from me towards Jake and his team so much. It was like just me versus me type of thing, if you know what I mean. Like I had something taken from me that night, and it was like, right, well, you need to do a lot more than that. But in my eyes, I got like a bit in my head, a bit like I really need to go out here and give this guy a fight. So what I did in that rematch was, I like to box, but I can fight if I need to, Lee, and I really can. Especially now I've been learning a lot recently with Bob. I fought Jake Bray at his own fight. I took my chin down. I didn't really do what I usually do, and we just stood there and we had a dogfight for 6 rounds, literally from round one. And it was a good. Do you know what? That was by far my best fight so far. That being in a fight, I've enjoyed it. Like, I know we're knocking lumps out of each other, but I thrive off that. You know what I mean? I love a good fight.
Yeah, well, like you say, it was a good preparation for you. But unfortunately, just a little bit of bad luck, a few little injuries, and it's kept you out of the ring for what, like I say, what is it going to be? 8 months, 9 months?
Something like that, yeah.
I think Rhys has had basically 2 more fights than you. Been active, fought for the central area. And he's very confident, mate. I've just done an interview. I believe you watched it. And
I've seen that.
Very, very confident, mate.
It's what you need, isn't it? It's the fight game, you know. And do you know, I could go to town a little bit after watching that interview because, you know, I like Rhys and I like his trainer, so I won't like disrespect him in any way. But I've seen him talking about me being like inactive and all that since October. For me, I pulled out of a fight that was offered to me 4 weeks later for some reasons that didn't like keep me sat on a couch, if you want to say. And then the Casey Brown fight, you were there. My nose was around the back of my head. That was just something that could knock me out.
Funny, not in a horrible way, but it was funny because I was ringside watching, and it was weird because Rhys Woods had just been down there a few days earlier, training with Carlo Motti and Marcus Tomlinson. So it was like it was a bit of a neutral ground, and I was down there watching you, and you took this beautiful big overhand right on your nose, and it just your nose was literally pushed across one side of your face. And
you know what thing about it was, Lee? I carried on fighting to that end.
I know that, but it's what you said to Tom McNeil, because Tom was just looking after you, and you went, "I think he's broken it," and he went, "Yeah." And
I think so, yeah.
Fingers, and he snapped it straight back into place. And it was, and I did an interview with afterwards, and you wouldn't even know, but I presume a day or two later, your eyes blacked up and.
Yeah, that's all it was. So obviously, in the interview we did, it was more like I was buzzing because I was having a good spar with a couple of lads down at Bolton, and it was Dan Booth. Me and him was sparring, and he just caught me a big overhand right, like previous to that right hand, he caught me with a few more sparring. In it, you go swimming, you get wet, but this one just landed perfectly, and we saw the end at round out, and that was when Tom and Phil just said, "Look, your nose is broken. You got to finish here." But going back to that inactivity comment of Rhys saying that, I'm not fought since October, I understand that, but I've been in the gym. I've had 2 full training camps near enough. I'm fit, I'm healthy, my weight's good, I'm feeling good. And when you want to talk about activity, and this isn't disrespecting him, but two of his last 3 fights, he's been stopped and put on the floor. So it's up to you. What would you rather take? Would you rather take my inactivity or his activity and getting chinned a couple of times? Me personally, we're all sort of, level playing field here. You can't compare the two.
No, it's an intriguing one. But what I do, and I've said to Rhys in the interviews, he's a kid that had to do the most learning. The most limited amateur experience out of all 4 of you that entered that tournament. So I think he always suspected that there was going to be a few bumps in the road. And obviously it was a little bit of a surprise when he got KO'd by
Sergio
Bomber. But the fight that he was looking fairly comfortable until he did get caught.
And I was there that night, ringside.
Well, I think, this is what I love about him and yourself and all the other 2 other kids that went in that tournament. None of you needed to, but you all did. But he, more than anyone, perhaps should have pulled out after that loss to Serge. But he didn't.
Had a couple of learning fights or whatnot.
Yes, and he didn't. And he got in with a kid that there's no way he should have been able to beat, especially off that loss. But he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Done well,
A big upset. And obviously he's in the same scenario now. He's coming off a KO loss. Well, it was they threw the towel in, so referee stopped fight. It wasn't quite as bad as his last loss against a kid who was perhaps always the favourite going into that tournament anyway. So, but he has had the luxury of preparing for a 10-rounder. Now I know you're just fighting a 6 and everything, but it looks like he's really, when you say you learn more from a loss, he seems to be one of those where that statement is true.
No, he's 100%. Like, you watch his debut, you watch his last couple of fights, Casey Brown and Johnny Boy. He's 100% improved. Like, me and anybody would be lying if he said he hasn't been, because he has improved, and you can't take that from him. He has got better since turning professional until now. But I just don't think he's good enough to beat me in 2 weeks' time, Lee. Honestly, I really don't. He's talking about seeking and destroying with me. I'll tell him down this lens right now. He ain't got to seek and search for nothing, because I'm going to be right in front of him swinging bombs and try to knock 7 bells of life out of him.
So, as a boxing fan, am I in for a treat? Because he is very common. He's very quietly spoken. He doesn't say too much. Most of his interviews early on, Ryan his coach always sat in with him. But he's steadily grown as a fighter, as a young man, with his confidence. And he's very confident, and you've always been confident.
And I'm growing confidence as well, Lee, because I'm learning more about myself, and I'm figuring more out about my own ability. That's also progressing as well, if you know what I mean. So it's nice. And like we say with me, I am what I am. What you see on the tin and what you read on the tin is what you get. And with me, like, you've seen it now. I can turn up, I can have a scrap like that last fight I had, and I can turn up, I can get behind me jab and ping a few jabs out and give someone a nice boxing lesson. But by the sounds of how Rhys is talking and how I'm planning to beat him, and what we've got going on in my team at the minute, as long as he can bring it like he's saying he is, then we should be in for a fight of the year contender, because I'm coming out from round 1 and having it.
Well, I think
that's about.
Yeah, I think that's on his agenda as well. I think he wants to win, and he wants to win in fight style and get his first stoppage.
Cool.
And I know we've spoke off camera, and you're very confident of that happening for you as well. So that makes for a real treat, because this is he's had quite a few good hard tests so far, and I know he's not passed them all, but but he has had really, in 8 fights, he's been in 4 50-50 fights.
Yeah.
Now, realistically, this is your first 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
We touched on, we won't talk about Jake Bray. I don't believe you lost the first fight. But the second fight was a bit like a 50-50 fight because you were good back guard and he got the victory on paper over you. And he was very, very, very determined to win that fight.
He wasn't a journeyman that night.
Such a good fight. So you have had a little taste of that. But with the activity and the more frequently that he's done it, he feels that's where he's got the advantage over you.
Yeah, well, we'll see, won't we? There's not much I can say on that, you know. Activity, this, that, the other. The fight's 13 days away, so we're nearly there. When that bell rings, you know, I'm really, really hoping that he comes out swinging and try to take my head off early like he says he is, because I tell him now I've been destroying people in sparring.
Well, who have you been moving around with? Who your preparations have been done with?
I'll tell you on my post-fight interview. I'm keeping everything hush at the minute. Honestly, this camp here, Lee, I'm not just saying it like, you know, keeping my cards close to my chest. I'm really solely focused on this fight. Like, so focused. And it's like, I don't...
Are you treating this as like, because I've said it and I feel a bit horrible saying this, but it's a must-win fight for both of you, you know, to keep that you know, that hashtag prospects. You can't afford a second loss in what will only be his 6th fight.
6th fight.
And it'll be his 3rd loss. If it goes his, you know, if it doesn't go his way. Now, if it's a great fight, I think that doesn't really matter, and I think you both can continue. But it has to be a great fight. But if one of you does what you're both predicting you're going to do, then it's a bitter pill to swallow, isn't it? That because where does a loser go?
Well, it's one of them, and it depends on the outcome of the fight, you know. Either of us, the reality of boxing is someone can get knocked out, someone can get beaten on points. You've got a draw, you've got a one-sided beatdown either way, or you've got an absolute barnstormer of a fight where it pleases that many people. You can just carry on because you've built up a bit more reputation.
If it's a barnstormer, and I think it could be, then I think, you know, everyone wins, especially the fans. But if it is one of those, which you said before, you know, one of you wins comfortably or one of you stops one another, is that what's driving you forward, knowing that this is perhaps the most important fight of your career so far?
Absolutely. And do you know what does it for me as well, Lee? Like, going back to that inactivity comment, like, I've had a lot of shit go on in the last... Well, since the Jake Bray fight, like a lot of crap going on whilst training and whatnot. And, you know me on a personal level away from the cameras. I absolutely live and sleep and breathe for boxing. Like, it's, you know what I mean? I absolutely love the sport. I love to spectate it. I love to do it. It's my life. You know, I've fought my whole life. And, like, having them last 2 fights taken away from me, like, due to things out of my control, it's like it's adding more fuel to my fire to bring a frigging good version of myself out. And the time is now 13 days. I'm injury free. I've got my last few spars coming up this week. Camps are up. The last week I'll do a couple of light jogs, a bit of pads with Bob just to keep the mobility going, and then it's game on.
And how's that going now? Because you've been with Bob as your main coach for just over a year now, isn't it? Maybe 18 months.
About a year, yeah.
Yeah, do you feel that's all falling into place, and it was something that you felt like you were really missing, not having a full-time coach?
Do you know what it was like having Bob in my corner is fantastic, and I give Bob a big shout out as well. You know, he's been so helpful, and like his knowledge in the boxing game is like, honestly, like that man. You know, he trains world championship fighters. He helps Tyson out every day down in the gym. He's training Tommy Fury near enough every day. He's got Roman down the gym. Like, all these boys, like, you know, Bob has got that level of experience that he can pass things on to me, where I'm fortunate enough where some people at my level might not be able to. Like, I'm learning things that the elite learn. Do you know what I mean? Like when you really dissect things, it's not like getting on the pads and going 1-2 left hook, step back, right and left hook, all that nonsense. Like we're really dissecting things and looking at setting certain traps, and like Bob will go away and study Rhys, which he has been doing. He has been studying him like a book, coming into the gym, and he's been like, right, this is how he reacts to this. This is what he does when he's about to throw. Like he has got a plan A to Z and Z to A twice over for everything Rhys has got from it. It's just down to me to execute it on the night.
And do you feel now you've got that working relationship and it's been, it's fairly strong? This is going to be your second proper fight under him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or third? Did Josh?
Third, yeah.
Josh Cook, and then the rematch with Jake Bray, and now this is going to be your third fight with Bob. Do you feel that's perfect timing for you to make all those implements and those changes, and you can react to what he's saying from the corner?
Absolutely, like we've been training very, very hard. Like Bob has been kicking my ass. And, he'll sit and watch this interview when you hang it on YouTube, and he'll sit and smile to himself because he pushes me hard.
Yeah.
We've got sparring partners. Like I'm doing 8-round spars at the minute. That's all it needs to be for a 6-rounder. 8 rounds against good lads, and it's literally 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. Because that's how he does it. He's not the same guy. You'll have one opponent in, then the round after it'll be a fresh guy. Whilst the first one's resting, then he chucks him back in. So your opponents are always fresh. So I'm not getting a guy slowing down in front of me. I've got a fresh guy every time I'm sparring. He's got me doing killer runs. The nutrition and everything. With circuits he puts me through, like everything, mate. Yeah, it's class.
And is this going to benefit you more? I've actually mentioned on the video with Rhys. It's now been made at middleweight near enough.
Yeah.
Do you think those extra few pounds are going to make a big difference for you?
Well, I've always been a middleweight, Lee. Like I seen Rhys said something like, what was it? He said he thinks it's going to play into his favour. Like I think he weighed in at about 11 stone, did he, for his last fight? And this is only 11.6, but 6 pounds is a couple of bottles of water. Do you know what I mean? But like, I think with this fight, mate, and like I know he used to be a light heavyweight, whatnot, back in the day, as an amateur. But like you've seen me when I'm filled up, like and like rehydrated. We're weighing on the Friday. You'll see me on the Friday, and I'll be all cut and everything, and looking a bit like, a bit drained and whatever, like you always do. But come fight night, mate, I will put on between 15 and 20 pounds of weight, and I look ginormous compared to him on the night. And you know it. You've even said to me the last couple of times, you've seen me, Christ, you've filled out a lot.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But so was that never really going to be a realistic possibility? You were talking about, competing at light middleweight, but when did you give up on that thing and thought, well, sod this? Because we had spoke about it on a couple of occasions where you thought, like, no, you're not really going to do it.
Yeah, the decision was made, really. So when I started off my pro career, I was sort of coming in around 157 pounds, 158, and middleweight's obviously 160. So I was sort of in that limbo where I was like, light middleweight's only 154. If I really push myself, even if it means getting a sweatsuit on the day of the weigh-in, and getting 3 pounds off, it's not hard. But then I thought to myself, I started my strength and conditioning training, which I'd never done until sort of back end of last year. That's put like it's put definition on me and size in a way where I'm more athletic and I'm more suited for the middleweight weight, but I look better instead of looking like horrible and knackered. Like I will look a bit slimmer than my usual self, but like I'm more stronger at the weight now I've started doing the S&C stuff, and my strength is everything in this game. I don't want to take all my weight off me and go into a fight without in me and just flicking shots and seeing it out at 6th round. I've figured in this last since the Jake Bray fight till now, I figured out how much strength I've actually got. And honestly, mate, I've been mixing it up in sparring, southpaws. I hurt some guy with a big shot, and I won't tell you what it is. I'll let it. I might even pull it off on the night if I can. But I just feel strong at this weight, and now I'm finding out my capabilities a bit better because my training's just been ramped up a bit.
Yeah, well, like I say, I said to you, it was about 8-9 months ago. You have to make that decision. And the sooner you make that decision, the better it's going to be, because it takes time to put that mass on and to grow into being a middleweight and do the rehydration right as well, because it's no good coming in at 160 when you are a middleweight, because you want to be coming in at 170, don't you?
Mate, on the night, it wouldn't surprise me by the time I get in the ring against Rhys. So weighing on the Friday, sort of, what is it, 2, 3 o'clock, I'll be 160 or thereabouts, maybe just under whatever I'll be. And then on the night, honestly, it would not surprise me if I put on 20 pounds, maybe 18 pounds or something.
But is that, do you know if that works? Because they say when you do, you rehydrate, you should be rehydrating to what you're moving around with in your second week of last sparring, if you know what I mean. And if you're sparring at 168, 170, and realistically that's your perfect weight for your rehydration. So you've got to be careful, or because you've not had too many days before weigh-ins. You've got to make sure that you do rehydrate weight, or it can backfire on you.
Yeah, no, 100% it can backfire. If I put too much weight on, what I'm saying is, like, I won't take the absolute piss out of it, pardon my French, but I'll just eat, like, I've got everything, all the food, and that's ready to go. We know what we'll be eating after the weigh-in, and obviously how much water and like my electrolytes and whatnot will be up in the levels for that, to get my levels all sort of working to where they need to be. But just naturally, like, I walk around at like 190 pounds. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So then there's not going to be an issue then.
No, like when I'm sparring,
this big weight gain, it's going to hinder you. It's only going to benefit you. But that's what this is all about. And like I say, it's a very, very, very important fight for both of you. And we're on a great card. We're back at Bolton, a fantastic venue. And we've got Jack Cullen returning to the VIP stage, which is nice. So hopefully he'll bring a big crowd, and I think
there's a few
might bring a big crowd.
Well, I think I don't know what his crowds are like. Last time I seen him fight live was obviously when he got beat by Sergio and Bombo, but that was at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know if half of them
it was a bit harsh, wasn't it?
Yeah. So listen, it'll be what it'll be. I'll be there. He'll be there. His supporters will be there. Mine will be there. And all you lot, hopefully. You know me, mate. I'm bringing it. I said it on Twitter the other day.
From round one, what's your prediction?
I'm gonna knock him Spark out, and I think it'll be as soon as I land the big one. And I'm not being arrogant here, and I'm not saying this, that, the other, but I'm going off my training. Like, I'm not just talking shite and hoping for the best next week when it comes around. Like I say, we've been dissecting stuff. We have been repeating the same things over and over again, to the point where when I do these maneuvers that we've been practicing and studying, it's gonna happen at some point. You know what I mean?
Do you ever? Sorry for interrupting. Do you ever struggle with the southpaw stance? I mean, because some people hate it. So then I know I speak to some kids, and they absolutely love fighting southpaws.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Like, at the end of the day, like, everyone bangs on about, these southpaws, that, the other. At the end of the day, it's just a man stood in front of me with the other foot, in front of the other one. Like, I'm still going to throw punches at him. I'm still going to land. He's going to do the same to me. To me, I don't really think about it too much. Like, when I'm sparring these guys, I'm having good spars, and just like I would sparring an orthodox or fighting an orthodox. So to me, it really don't matter, Lee. Like, you'll still get the same old me turning up and having a scrap. My prediction for this fight, Lee, I think people, when they get stopped like he has been, they stay hit. And that ain't disrespecting him, because I actually like Rhys and his coach, Ryan. I've spoken to him many occasions at fight nights, at gyms. But I think when you get hit like that and you get hurt, I think deja vu's going to kick in. And I think when I belt him on his chin quite hard, he's going to go into a bit like, oh, crap, here we are again. You know what I mean? So
we'll leave it on that then. And I will see you on the 14th, where we get to a day before a weigh-in. And then it all kicks off on the 15th, mate. And I think we're in for fireworks, mate. I think you're both very, very confident, and and that's the best way to go into a fight like this. You can't be doubting yourself, can you?
I wouldn't be here, Lee, if I doubted myself. Like, I'm not arrogant and I'm not this, that, the other. But this fight's got something about it. I can feel it. I'm waking up every morning with a smile on my face. Like, I can't wait. It's just like, not even the Rhys Woods fight, just me getting back in the ring in front of people. Like, I have been dying for this since October. Like, and we're here now. Like, I've got 3 spars this week booked in, and then that'll be me. And then we'll be tapering down after that, and it'll be feet up and just waiting for the day.
Right. Well, good luck for the rest of camp, even though it's only a few days left. And we'll, like I say, we'll see you on the 14th, and I'll be speaking to one of you, and I just don't know who. Well, actually, I'll probably be speaking to both of you, because I think there's a good possibility of this could steal the show. So fingers crossed it does.
I'll tell you this just to close the show on here. This fight, Lee, will not go the distance on my behalf. I can promise you that.
Well,
he's getting sparked out.
That's what I want.
I'm sparking him out. He's getting it. I promise you, I'm going to hurt him on the 15th. Nothing personal. It's just a boxing game. He's getting it, mate, and I can't wait to land some leather on his big head. There you are.
Owen, you take care. See you on the 14th, mate. Bye-bye.
Take care, Lee. Good to speak to you, pal.
And you, mate. Let me just pause this now.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.